I have a thought experiment for you. Close your eyes. Go ahead, do it. Close your eyes. Now I want you to imagine that starting Monday, you can do any job in the world except anything related to what you do right now. So if you're in marketing, you can do anything except marketing. If you're in technology, you can do anything except technology. Now I want you to imagine that starting Monday, you can wear anything you want except anything that's currently in your wardrobe. Throw away those blazers, throw away those shirts, throw away those dresses. You can wear anything you want except anything you own today. And next, starting Monday, you're going to move to Seattle. All right, open your eyes. You feel ready for Monday? That's what it's like when you get out of the military. Getting out of the military isn't some mythical, transformational thing where you come home damaged and it's heroic and there's parades. It's you were over in Afghanistan, you were great at what you did, you had great networks, but you moved home and you can't wear those military uniforms and you don't know any of the people that live in the city that you're about to move to. And you can do anything in the world that you want to do except the thing that you just spent 20 years getting really great at. That's what it's like to get out of the military. And that's why I started Bunker Labs, which is an organization that helps military veterans and their spouses start and grow businesses all across this country in 22 cities and online.
%3.8%. That is the national unemployment rate. 26%. Why do I have that up there? Because in neighborhoods we're in right now, and in the south side neighborhoods of Chicago, that's the unemployment rate. Many neighborhoods across Chicago and also nationally, that 3.8% is a joke. It's not real. It's not what they're experiencing. Meantime, you as employers are having difficulty finding people. So that 26% is a really big opportunity. And I want you to think a little bit about and share with you a little bit about who are those people in that 26%. One of them is, his name's Diamante. He's 22 years old, comes from the south side. He's today a sales associate on a huge, fast career trajectory path at Walgreens, getting his associate's degree. And I will tell you, has the biggest smile and this energetic, effusive personality where any of you would want him to work for you. I'm convinced this guy will be a vice president of sales of some company someday, and Walgreens was smart enough to hire him. But that's not where he started. He actually ended up with a job with Walgreens because he came through our organization, Skills for Chicagoland's Future, and he actually has a really, really tough story where he had failed out of a number of schools in high school. His brother actually got shot and murdered. And the week before his brother got shot and murdered, he and his brother talked about that it was time for them to make some different decisions. When his brother got shot, Diamante made some new decisions. And our organization, Skills for Chicagoland Future, helped to connect him with Walgreens and our youth program to get him on his way. Right now, what Diamante worries about is he's been able to do his first ever conference calls with the corporate office, and he worries about his just getting himself around between college and work and making sure that customers love him as much as we do. Another one, Gwendolyn Tidwell, 55 years old, from the south side, had a great career, lost her job several years ago, ended up having to live with her son, couldn't believe it. Severance ran out, and she lived in one of the neighborhoods with double-digit unemployment where she didn't have access to a job. She eventually got hooked up with our organization, and here this woman who had years and years of experience now works at People Scout, has had 3 promotions, and I bet if I came back here next year, would probably have another 1 or 2. Great talent that was being overlooked. So, Todd gave voice to veterans, and I gave some voice to the unemployed. Now I'm going to talk to you a little bit about hiring talent. So this picture I have up here, you might wonder what these are, and these are 2 different brownstones, right? The one on top, which is probably what you're more familiar with if you're, have gone through some north side neighborhoods, and then another brownstone on the south side. Tale of 2 cities, but in our world, it's what we call the access gap. And if you're out of work and you live next to the brownstone on top, you're going to have a very different experience networking to find a job and to get somebody to put your resume to the top than if you happen to live next to the vacant brownstone. 80% of jobs are actually found through networking, but people spend 85% of their time online. And oftentimes when we're connecting them to jobs, they've actually already applied to many of your companies, but they can't get through because they have a gap in service, or they don't have that network or their neighbor like you have right now where you could hand it to somebody to get your resume to the top. We call it the access desert. You've heard of food deserts? We call it the access desert. And it's great talent out there of people who have opportunities to get jobs. Think to yourself for a minute about maybe the last intern you just hired for this summer. I bet a lot of you hired interns. Did you go to the high schools in the South or the West Side? Or did you go to your friend's high school or person who asked you to make a favor, or the same typical schools you've gone to? It's about stretching your talent to think about those who don't have that opportunity, who are really going to be some of the most loyal employees for you.
This room holds about 300 people. On average, only 1% of young people join the military, which would be 3 people sitting in those first 3 chairs who on average are the age of 19. That's who's doing the work on behalf of the rest of us in this room. The people that comprise our military are disproportionately from the Southeast, 45% of them. They're disproportionately coming from military families. They're disproportionately low income. 22% of our military is female. We're overrepresented in diversity in the military. But when people leave the military, what's changed for them and what's hard for them is the ability to find and connect in with people like you. It's an access gap. But it's not because they're not talented or because they don't have ambition. After World War II, 49% of military veterans that survived and came home went on to start their own business. 49%. They started little companies like gas stations. They started medium-sized companies like PR firms. They started companies that today you would know as Nike or Comcast or GoDaddy or FedEx, companies that are all founded by military veterans. They started little companies that became big, like the founding story of Comcast, where Ralph Roberts came back after having done intelligence work overseas in Europe and became a suspender salesman. He took that work down to the South and bought one radio tower in a rural community in Tuscaloosa, Oklahoma, because he figured that was the future of the economy, rural radio. That one tower turned into several towers, which today is the largest media conglomerate in the world, which is Comcast. All things start small, and all things start with one person and an improbable idea, and that's the genesis of entrepreneurship. 25% of military veterans want to start their own business, but only 4% will. Why? Because they don't have the right networks. What does that matter to you? Because you're a part of that network that can change the equation for them. Military veterans don't join the military because they want to be veterans. They join because they want to do cool stuff. They want to be part of something bigger. I joined the military even though I'd gone to New Trier High School and grew up in the north suburbs. And even though I'd gone to Northwestern, I joined the military because I wanted to meet people very different from myself. People like Armando Barajas, John Bewall, John Bolden, poor kids with country accents, African-American kids from under-resourced communities in Chicago. And when you spend time at 3 in the morning standing on the bridge of the USS Bunker Hill with people like that, you come to understand that every first impression you have of anybody is wrong. Because these are the people that you come to rely on, you come to love, and you come to trust. And you're forced to see them for who they really are and the talent that they really represent. And that's why I'm grateful for having served, because it gave me that opportunity to meet people that ever since then, I have a hard time even finding in my daily life.
So if you're having trouble finding talent, I think we've been talking about 2 different places, 2 different sources that might be new to think about. And in Chicago, and actually we have an affiliate site in Rhode Island, over 100 companies have partnered to hire over 1,600 people annually between our 2 organizations in Skills Chicagoland Future and Skills Rhode Island's Future. Companies do it we make it easy for them, and we actually end up being the extension of their recruiting team to go find the talent in the neighborhoods that maybe they're not sourcing from. Not only have we done it, we've actually been in business for about 6 years, but we actually did a study to actually find out what happened to our folks 2 years later, and are they still valuable to businesses? And we found that unemployed who'd been placed by us versus has found a job on their own with similar demographic background actually had a higher retention rate. And we're also beating the retention rates at the companies. Why? Because they're so loyal and happy to have that job and appreciate it. We also found that on average, individuals had a higher income after 2 years if they'd come through skills and were doing well and getting promoted. So it works. The model works. We work with the companies. We help them find talent. The employer gets talent. Everybody wins. What else is this about? It's about how important diversity is and how if you can really diversify who you're finding in terms of talent, it helps to solve a business need. When we survey our companies and we ask them why they use us year over year, the number one reason they say is because we can bring them diverse talent. And that's not easy to do. It's not easy to find the veterans, and it's not easy to find and access the communities and the talent of those who are looking for those jobs.
So as an entrepreneurship organization, we're always teaching people how to do customer discovery. This year, we're going to train over 1,600 military veterans on how to start and grow their own business. And the fundamentals of being a good business owner is listening to your customers. Early in my naval career, as a young junior officer, I went to the captain of our ship, and I had a list of things that I thought were broken. I said, "Sir, I've noticed this. The sailors aren't happy about this. I think we need to do this. Someone ought to take a look at this." And after listening to my long list of things that I saw that were broken, the captain sat back, looked at me, and said, "They," as I'd given him this list of things they need to do, "they is you." Permission granted, which is another way of saying, a more polite way of saying, this is your problem now, so go fix it. And I've taken that they is us, they is me, in every journey in my life. It's why I became an entrepreneur. It's why I have decided to help military veterans find access, because I don't know who else is going to solve it. So we have a choice, which is how do we learn and listen to our customers? As Marie was talking about, there are young people outside this vaulted place who are trying to figure out what to do with their summer. They're wondering what the future might hold for them. As we speak and as we enjoy this experience together, military veterans are coming home wondering what might be possible for them. And the question for us is, are we willing to listen to them and ask them what they need? Are we willing to let them do the talking for themselves? I was once in a meeting with one of my consulting businesses I started prior, helping them drive employee engagement. And they were asking, how do we become known as being a better business for females? And this was, mind you, a conversation that 4 male executives were having. And they were looking at, do we apply to Working Mother magazine? Do we try to get an accolade or an award from this? And I looked at them candidly. I said, well, ask the women that work here what would make it a better place for them to work. And that, as counterintuitive is, should be really obvious for us. I'm struck by the number of conversations I'm involved in or that I witness where veterans aren't at the table, but people are designing solutions for veterans. I will challenge you that if we want to impact people's lives, whether it's your customers, whether it's the youth, young people in Chicago that live in the brownstones, whether it's military veterans coming home, whether it's women in the workplace, we have to let them do the talking. Their voices have to be elevated. And our job is to ask them the question, allow them to give the answer, and then listen to what they want to say. We're at a moment where patriotism and sympathy for veterans is insufficient. Loving the vets is insufficient. Understanding them is required. And while I can't hold anybody in this room accountable for the last person you hired, I want to issue a challenge to be accountable for the next person that you hire. We don't have to move mountains to necessarily get this right, but every one of us has the ability to ask the question. And sometimes a simple question, like, did we talk to anyone who ... doesn't fit into this culture? Did we talk to anybody that doesn't have the traditional degrees? Did we talk to anybody that came from a bit different background than us, has a disability, served in the military, is the first one in their family to work in a corporate environment. Those simple questions can lead to profound discovery about the people that you want to work with and the people that you want to serve. I think about my friend Brendan O'Brien, who after 20 years in the Air Force transitioned out looking for his next opportunity and was fortunate enough to find a company that understood the value of getting a highly talented person like a Brendan O'Brien. And today he's in the audience and runs sales enablement for Solstice. A win for Solstice and a win for Brendan, and I'm not surprised that his career is taking off. My parting thought is this. We have a choice about how to define how broad our circle is. Is it the people in our immediate family? Is it the people with whom we work? Or can it be bigger than that? Can it be people that we haven't even met yet? Can it be young people in the city of Chicago looking for an opportunity? Can it be people of a different race? Can it be people of a different experience than your own? And my argument to you is that the broader that circle is, the more talent you're going to find, and definitely the more enriched I think your personal life is going to be. So I choose to hold the dreams of those folks, the ones I haven't met yet, as my own, and I challenge you to do the same.
And my challenge, Todd, if you don't mind getting that, my challenge to you is to set a goal. At your company, when you have a big deadline or when you have some profit you want to make, you put a number out there and you set a goal. So it's no different in the world of changing lives. Set a goal, decide what your corporate social responsibility area is as a company, push your company to make those decisions, and then go find excellent organizations that'll help. Go find them. You can buy or you can build in the private world. And in the not-for-profits, we're no different. We're here as an extension to actually be able to help you achieve those goals. We both run ourselves like businesses, except any of our profits go back into our people so we can put more people into jobs. On the veteran side, on the unemployed side. But figure it out. Figure out what that goal is. Don't let it be across the board that you're giving a little bit of money here, a little bit there, a little bit of volunteer here and there. Actually have a corporate social responsibility goal for your company. And yourself, you can also make changes too, right? We talked about, think about where you're spending your time. Maybe you're volunteering on your own and you might be speaking at a job, you might be speaking at a career fair at your own kid's neighborhood school. Think about calling another neighborhood school that's outside of your neighborhood that maybe doesn't have the parents who can expose them to jobs in technology, to jobs in marketing. And you can really change lives because they don't have those neighbors who can expose them to that. And I've seen that firsthand. We bring high school kids into some of our companies. They've never seen a corporate headquarters in their life, ever. They haven't. We brought them to Ulta Beauty. They had no idea that men could work at Ulta. These are things that we take for granted, that we have to remember that there's incredible talent out there in the neighborhoods who just need the exposure, right? You can donate, you can volunteer, you can hire differently, you can demand that your HR practices actually involve reaching out to schools and to not-for-profits that are different than the typical Big Ten or other universities that you're using, because there's great talent out there. And look, it's a business problem. Right? With unemployment this low, you have to be creative to figure out new ways to find talent. And there's not-for-profits in the space, not just ours, but others in your own communities, whose single objective every day is to help make a difference for you to get the right talent. So go out and make a difference after today.
Thank you.
Thank you.